Okay, so this section of the seminar is called Choosing Your Degree. And it's basically we're just going to bring in a bunch of our speakers who are either current university students or recent graduates, and they're just going to talk about their experiences at uni. So there are 7 speakers, and this is the order: computer science, civil engineering, radiography, aerospace engineering, optometry, commerce, and then electrical engineering. Or commerce actuary. So these are the 8 questions that each of us are going to answer. Have a read of this, and just can I get a show of hands? Who's in year 12 right now? And do we have any year 11s?
One year 11.
Oh, we've got 2. It's all right. Okay. But yes, we're just each going to be running through these 8 questions, and then we're going to have a little Q&A session for each of us at the end. So I'm going to be going first. Ooh, okay. So my name is Justin, and I'm in my final year of computer science at UNSW. So previously, I've worked as a software engineering intern at Transport for New South Wales. It's not my fault that the trains are late. It's other people's fault. And I've also worked as a research assistant at UNSW. I'm super into BJJ, so if you guys know any Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, come fight me afterwards. And then recently I've been watching Demon Slayer. Does anyone watch that? Oh, you guys have good taste, all right?
Isn't it HSC right now?
Yeah. Watch it after your HSC. Okay, so question 1. Can you summarize your degree in a few sentences? So formally, computer science is designing and constructing computer systems. That's just a fancy way of saying we write software. So you study things like operating systems, creating websites, creating games, and artificial intelligence, things like that. Question 2, what does your degree look like day to day? What kind of work does it involve exactly? So computer science is a very practical degree. Most of the time is spent building very concrete technical skills. So what a typical course will look like is you'll learn a concept in your lectures, for example, and then in your labs and assignments, you'll actually implement it. So for example, I took a course called Neural Networks. Has anyone heard about how Elon Musk had a team of programmers create a program to play Dota? Yeah. Okay, so that was using a neural network. Yeah. So basically, it's a type of software that can learn on its own, and then just by playing against itself millions of times, it gets really good, and then it just basically destroyed all of the pro players. And I had to do a very basic version of that in my course. So what we did was, the game we had was, you had a pole that was balancing on a cart, and if it fell down, you lost. And the only thing you could do was control if it went left or right. So it was really fun just playing around with the code, seeing okay, what strategies are best to teach this piece of software how to learn. Question 3, how does this work compare to high school? So one thing that I like about computer science is that it's completely new. Everyone comes in fresh. Just because you're good at math, it doesn't translate over much. You're good at physics, it doesn't translate over. So it's a good way to just get a fresh start. If you don't mind sitting at a computer for hours on end, it might be for you. Question 4, why did you choose your degree? What factors influenced you the most? So when I first came to uni, I actually didn't start with computer science. I started with electrical engineering. And I did that for about 2 years. But the reason I chose that initially was because, math was my best subject in high school. Electrical engineering, there's heaps of math there. And it also seemed from what people were telling me, to be the most prestigious engineering. So, it's the hardest, all right, I'm gonna go do that one. And for 2 years, I absolutely hated it, all right. I wasn't doing well in terms of marks. I found the lectures so boring. And in general, I was just very stressed and unhappy all of the time. But there was a silver lining, because in computer science, you have to do a couple of computing subjects, and turns out like, oh, like I like these, like I did well in them as well, and I had an epiphany one day. I hate all of my electrical engineering subjects. I like all of the computing subjects. I should transfer to computer science. So that's what I did, and it worked out really well, because when you're actually interested in your course, you're a lot more motivated to work hard, right? So like marks started going up, and I'm generally just like happier nowadays. So the takeaway I wanted you guys to get from this story is that you should choose something you're interested in, because if you're interested in it, you'll be more motivated to work hard. When you work hard, you'll probably become exceptional, and you'd rather be exceptional, even if it's in a smaller field, than kind of mediocre or lukewarm, like in a larger field. Question 5. What type of person would you recommend your degree to? So with computer science and just programming in general, a lot of it is 2 steps forward, 1 step back. So a lot of times you'll fix something in your software and then another error will occur. So it takes a lot of perseverance to kind of push through it. But I think just looking at my friends, the people I've noticed who really enjoy it are people who can just sit down and like work through problems. So if you found yourself like just sitting on like Photoshop and just like, making sure everything's perfect, or like you've done video editing before and like you really enjoy that type of thing, then I think you might enjoy computer science. Okay, question 6. What career paths lead out of your degree? So first and foremost, it's software engineering. And that's basically, there's a lot of places that you can go from there. So you can do web development, you can create games, and apart from that, you can also become what's called a data scientist. And that's basically using software and statistics to analyze a lot of data to drive business decisions. You can also become what's called a machine learning engineer. So what those guys do, it's like, like Facebook, how they can like recognize your face and stuff, self-driving cars, so that's all machine learning engineers. So there are quite a lot of opportunities out there nowadays. Okay, what are the most common misconceptions you hear about your degree? So the question I get asked the most is, what are the difference between these 4? And I'll just run through it very quickly. Computer science and software engineering, they're very similar, they just have a slightly different focuses. So computer science focus completely on technical stuff, whereas software engineering, you take a few courses that are to do with more the business side. So how do you like manage a project? How do you work effectively in a team of software engineers? Computer engineering is more specifically working in between basically software and hardware. So things like programming, like creating operating systems, or like programming your fridge kind of thing, right? That's what computer engineers do. And then information technology is more of an umbrella term. So that can range from like designing the infrastructure of an entire like company to like tech support. So this one in particular does not focus on software engineering, like software in particular. It's a more general tech degree. And then final question, what is one piece of advice that you would give to a HSC student looking to enter university? And I think the number one thing that you should be doing when you get to uni, I think, to be honest, that's even more important than your actual course content, is learn how to make friends and make a lot of friends while at uni. Because while you're at uni, everyone's really keen to like meet people and like just make a lot of friends, right? But once you enter the workforce, once you get a full-time job, it takes a lot of effort to get to know new people. And one thing a word that's thrown around a lot is networking, right? And I think it's overcomplicated. All you really need to know about it is you're making friends within your field. So just say you go to uni, you make a lot of friends, and then you make a lot of friends with your seniors. So by the time you graduate, that will already be out in the world. And then that's networking, essentially. Like, they can help you get a job because they're already out there. Okay. And that's it for my presentation. We'll have a quick Q&A because I've gone over time. But does anyone have any questions? No? Okay, thanks guys.